Hello, Flosstube friends. I'm Nancy Joy Trower. I'm the Stitcher with a Laughing Face. This is Flosstube number 32. Thanks so much for stopping by to see what I've been up to for the past 2 weeks. I hope that you are warm and safe and stitching away to your heart's content. I do want to send a lot of love and well wishes out to California. I used to live there. I used to live in Eagle Rock, which is right outside of Altadena, and you see it on the news and it's heartbreaking, but when you've actually lived there or been to an area that is being heavily hit by natural disaster, it breaks a little bit more. So I want to send love and good thoughts that way and hope that people can rely on their communities. We've already seen a lot of really great stories about how everyone there is rallying together to look out for each other and take care of each other. And, it makes me think Mr. Rogers, when 9/11 happened, he said that his mom always told him to look to the helpers and look for those who are helping and to take comfort and joy and strength in that. So I hope that those of you affected can do that. And hopefully whatever's going on in your life, you need a couple chuckles or support of knowing like-minded thinking and, people who stitch the same thing as you or read the same things or, just that you have this community to fall back on. So, but thank you to all of you who are subscribers and who like and leave comments, and a lot of new subscribers. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you're finding something fun and inspiring, enabling, whatever. So I hope that you are enjoying spending some time with me every once in a while. So it's been 2 weeks. We've been back to school. I had to go back on the 2nd, which I was not happy about. I was like, I want the whole week. But it wasn't too bad. I basically undecorated and redecorated for winter in those 2 days. There really wasn't a lot of learning going on, but that happens. Finally finished undecorating here. As you can see, my tree behind me is no longer Christmassy. It's snowy. And that's something I've been doing for years. Usually we leave the big tree up, and I usually strip the big tree of all the Christmas decorations and then put up snow in winter. So everything's all like the little wintry snowmen and the snowflakes. And I have blue and silver and white ornaments. Those actually wound up on my tree in my classroom this year, some of them. And I really just kind of did the garland. We leave up the garland with white lights. And so that's all snowy. I switched out and put a garland in the kitchen because the kitchen at Christmas is gingerbread. And so I use those bright multicolored LEDs, which was lovely because the kitchen's kind of a dark room. It's like the end of the house. We only have one big light in the middle, and having all the extra lights really actually helped with just being able to see what I was doing. But just, it was very cheerful and very, very fun. So I did take those down because they're multicolored, and I put up another one that was just white. So all of that's done. Enjoy it for a couple of weeks before I put up Valentine's Day. And whenever I'm like, oh, I gotta undecorate, my husband's like, well, then don't decorate so much. I'm like, yeah. So, but I think part of the reason I wasn't not happy, but just kind of like grumbling going back to school is because I knew that I would be jumping in with both feet right away. We have 20 days until my book fair starts. And right after that, we're doing 2 other major reading programs that are school-wide. So, skip ahead if you don't want to hear about book fair and stuff, but we're doing the Berry Best book fair this year. I always do a different theme. It used to be Scholastic provided the themes, and they had a lot of stuff to go with it. They haven't been doing that since COVID, so I just do our own and use a lot of inspiration from birthday parties and stuff that I see on Pinterest. So the Berry Best book fair is all berry stuff. Obviously, it came from someone said they love my library last year, and I was like, oh wait, it's library, and then it's like, nope, that's a book fair theme. So we're running with that. So we have contests that go with that theme. We have a family fun night, 2 of them, so it's not crowded. We do 2 family fun nights and games and crafts and all sorts of stuff going on. We have a door decorating contest for the different classes, and which actually does half the decorating for me because they decorate the doors that go along the hallway where the book fair is held, and then it's all nice and festive, and I didn't have to do all of it. But this year we're doing Fruit to the Spirit because I can take advantage of the fact that we're a Catholic school, and So everybody chose one of this. It's from Galatians. It's one of the letters from Paul to the Galatians. And it's like love, hope, patience, joy. Actually, hope's not one of them. Love, joy, patience, gentleness, faithfulness, self-control. Fortitude is one. Depending on the translation, there's different ones, but there's 9. So each of the classes picked a different virtue, and then they all picked a different berry to go with it. And they're supposed to decorate the door. Like, how does their class show this virtue? It's kind of funny because 7th grade picked patience and then coffee, because technically coffee is a berry. The coffee bean is actually the pit from the berry fruit. Didn't know that until last week. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. And then following that, we have the winter reading challenge, where I basically bribe children to read. I give out a lot of prizes. We keep track of how many minutes they read, and we pit the classes against each other. I look at the class with the most number of minutes straight up, the class with the most minutes per capita, because we do have some very different sizes. And then I also do class with the most participation. The 3 kids in each class with the highest number of minutes win prizes. And then anybody who can beat me gets prizes too. So, and that's always kind of fun. The kids are very excited if they can beat me. It's usually about like 10 kids total who are able to read more than I do. I think it's just the commitment of doing it, because I do read a lot, but it's, they don't have to make dinner and do laundry and all the other stuff. So, that's always, it's fun to see who's rising to the challenge of that, because sometimes kids that do it who you wouldn't think would. But we also do a bingo board where I have fun things like read in a blanket fort to your pet. And then there's prizes for that too. And then we're doing our book award contest, which is our school like book tournament. We have 4 categories. There's 8 books in each category. The kids read the books. They have to read both books in a matchup, and then they vote. And then we go from 8 to 4, and then we have our final round. And so that's a lot of reading that I'm going to have to do in the next couple of weeks to choose the books that are going to go in the contest. Basically, the only criteria is it has to have been a book for 2024, and then just, you know, and obviously books I think are really good books. And I usually try to pair up things. So I put the graphic novel against the book I think they should all read, because it has like a great lesson or it's just so well written. And then they have to read both of them in order to vote. And so many times the kids have been surprised about which ones they actually liked more once they read them both. And I've had the same thing happen to me too. Book I thought should win, and then I read the book that went against it, and it was like, that was spectacular. So lots of reading, lots of bribing, lots of prizes, but it's all in good fun. And then, you know, it actually does help the kids, I think, increase reading skills. And I know it's actually increased my reading speed the past couple of years. I've actually read faster than I did before we started doing the winter reading challenge. I do let them listen to audiobooks, and they have to, for every minute they listen, they have to have an equal number of minutes they read. Part of that is so that I can listen to audiobooks on the weekend while I'm cross-stitching. That's my plan. So that's pretty much at school. Lots going on there. Marking period ends next week on top of all of that. So I've got to do a whole bunch of grading in the next couple of days. But it's all in good fun, all for a good cause. It's all good. So, all right, let's get to stitchy stuff. I hope you have something to drink. I have my favorite tea. I finally found it. My favorite tea is Stash Chai. Now, they have a holiday chai that is amazing because it has like hints of gingerbread in it. Super good. But I also just love the regular chai, and I can't always find it in every store. I actually found it at one of the Walmarts. Not all the Walmarts, just one Walmart. And we happened to be in that town this weekend. I was like, oh, let's run in. So, but it's Stash Chai. And they changed the name. It's like Warming Spice Chai now, I think this is the name. But it's so good. With a little dash of milk. Really good. Especially when you talk a lot at school. Telling everybody about all the stuff that's coming up. All right, so and I started pause. Let me get my thoughts in order. I do have an FFO, so I'm going to start with that, and then we'll go talk about the little something Sal that I started as a way to keep myself motivated to not just stitch only the newest thing that just came out, but to work on some of my whips and work on things that, you know, it started because of Halloween, because because I was like, I'll never finish everything I started in just 2 months. So we'll get to that in just a second. But I do have an FFO. So one of the things that I worked on during the month of December, I started at the Jingle Ball, was the Jolly from Emily Call. I almost said Tiny Modernist, but it's not. It's Emily Call. And I just thought he was the cutest little Santa. And I love this frame is actually velvet. You can't see it, of course, but it's velvet. I got it at Michael's. They had them in red. They had them in green, cream, and I kind of like a gold color. But the red I thought was so awesome for this. So he was the first one done. And I used Bing Cherry from Color and Cotton for the coat. And it's kind of funny because this one I did back and forth. So you can see the stripes and the variegation. And then I did Mary, which is the second one. And I did his coat up and down, so the variegation looks very different. But I finished him before the last video, but I had an FFO'd him. And I just love how they turned out. So they're so cute together. I put them out on a shelf with all of my Santas. And had a little pick next to them, so a little added greenery. And I just love how they turned out. I did them on 28 count ice blue, or no, 32 count. It's 32. Ice blue, and I think it's a Witchelt. Use the Classic Colorworks for the coats, and then a combination of other things. Oh, and it was Classic Colorworks too for this was Hunter, was the blue, and I love that variegation. Color and Cotton. I hope I said that. Color and Cotton has some of the greatest. I just love their stuff, and I wish I could zap myself to their store. They show pictures every once in a while on Facebook, like, hey, we're open this weekend, because they've had some terrible weather down there. And I just want to like roll around on top of their floss. It just looks so gorgeous, like their floss wall, and like, oh, I want to touch all of it. So wish I could do that. All right, so with a little something Sal, I came up with in October. As I said, I was stitching all sorts of things for Halloween. I was like, how am I going to actually finish all of these before next Halloween, or actually work on them? Because I feel like 2024, it was like, ooh, new thing, and I just kept doing new things. So I did start quite a bit last year, but I want to actually finish quite a bit this year. So the rhyme from the weddings popped into my head. Something old, something new, something borrowed, and something blue. So the first 2 weeks were easy. Something old, work on whips. Second week, something new, start something new. And then the third week, I came up with something festive, because it had to have the right amount of syllables to match the rhyme. ELA teacher. And then the last week is something boo. So something Halloween, something fall. And I thought that was a great way to keep myself motivated, to not always just be starting something new, but work on the stuff that I already have started, and to get it done so I can have it out, because that's kind of the point. I mean, you know, people talk about being a process stitcher or a product stitcher. I think I'm both. Like, I love working on them, but I love having them out and done as well. So for the first week was something old. Now, normally I'm going to try to work on some things that are not seasonal. I have a Teresa Kogut that I started and an Emily Call that I started that I would love to have on the wall and just be able to enjoy. But I also had some wintry things that I wanted to get done. So my first stitch. Oh, and the Facebook group is open for the Little Something Sal 2025. So if you would like to join, go check on Facebook. There's a couple questions. Please do answer the questions. If you don't answer them, I'm not going to let you in. There was somebody who tried to get in today and didn't answer anything, didn't have any, it was weird. So like, no. We do have somebody from Italy. We have somebody from Australia. So that is really cool that we have people from all over. We have people who've changed the rhyme a little bit. The lady from Australia, sorry, your name's on the tip of my tongue. They don't really celebrate Halloween there. So she said she was going to do something blue and work on a blue sampler. I'm like, awesome. Kay Helen said she was going to do and something for you and work on like a project that she wanted for herself. So that's awesome too. But come in and check out the Facebook group. We're going to put pictures in so you can be encouraged, see what other people are working on. And also, I'm planning on doing some giveaways there as well. If you watched my Christmas series, the 12 Days of Christmas Vacation, Jessica, who owns the Stitching Corner, which is my LNS in Ransomville, New York. They do have a online presence as well, so check her out. She very graciously gave me a bag that had 12 Days of Christmas envelopes in it with a great envelope for every day. And I'm keeping some of the stuff. And like the Belle floss, which is gorgeous. But there are some other things in there that I know I probably won't do, or I think somebody else would enjoy more. So I'm going to pass those along on the Facebook group. And here, I'm almost to 700 followers, which sounds like a very small number when you compare it to a lot of other people who are out there, and you're here and I'm glad you're here. So, so we're going to hit, when we hit 700, I'm going to do a giveaway for that as well. So if you're watching and you're not subscribed, hit that button and maybe you'll win a prize. So I can say that here. Just don't put that in the comments. I'll let you know, hopefully the next video will have hit 700 and I'll put something there. So check out the Facebook group and join, share, and what you've been working on in your different weeks. So week 1 was something old. So I picked up the Hyggie Holiday from Hands On Design. This was a sale, started last summer. Kathy Haberman is the Hands On Design designer. So she did the beautiful pattern based on a print that she found at a Christmas market. Chantel of 141 did the awesome frame. And then Nicole Spohr did the sal portion of it. Like, she did a lot of videos talking about cutting it up into the 4 quadrants and doing the 4 different colorways. So it's shown on the cover in the blues, which is what I'm doing it in. But the cool thing about this one is that Kathy gave us all 4 different colorways. So the original is kind of like neutrals. And then there's the blues. And then there's green, like the Winter Forest, which that's a lovely shade of green. It's $9.35. Very rich, beautiful shade. And then this one down here is more Christmassy, traditional Christmassy colors. So I went with the blues because I do decorate for winter for January with blue, white, and silver. And I have a little collection of silver reindeer. I saw it in a magazine on Pinterest at some point where somebody had done like a mantle and all different kinds of silver reindeer with, you know, greenery and some lights. And I thought it was very pretty. So I thought this would go with it. So, I needed a piece of paper to back it up with. So here is how I'm doing on the Hyggie Holiday. So when I picked it back up, I did a little bit in the summer. I had done the side of the tree. That tree was done up here at the top. Most of the deer, he didn't have any legs, but that was about where I was at the end of where I worked on the sal. I didn't do the whole thing, obviously. And then I picked it up, and so this is the rest of what I did in that week. Now, I think it's lovely because it's only 5 colors. We have 932, I believe it is. And there's a, you know, the darker browns and some lighter, like, taupe colors in there. So, and it's kind of like working on a Quaker because you can just do one motif at a time. So I'm kind of working around in a circle. And I think it's going to be lovely. It's on 28 count Molly, which I think has become my favorite new fabric. It is, I've said it before, I know. But it's just so lovely to work on. It just feels nice in your hand as you're working. And I like the modeling is so very subtle, but just enough there. So I am going to also work on this in week 3, which is the something festive week. Now that one, yes, I could be working on Christmas or I could be working on Valentine's Day. But I want to get the winter stuff done so that I can put it out and enjoy it, even if it's just for the last little bit of January before I Valentine's Day everything. So that was my something old. I am still also working on my Prim ornaments from Pinker and Pumpkin. So Pinker and Pumpkin, Melissa, where is it? It's on here somewhere. Her name's on here. She has a blog. She does a couple posts a week. Melissa Vandergerf, I think that's how you say it. It's all free. She puts up quilt patterns and like embroidery, where like red work kind of things. She's got a ton of cross stitching. She does the cutest salt box houses, and she usually has like a new one a month. Just amazing, and just so incredibly generous that it's all free. So a couple of years ago, I fell in love with her Prim Ornament series. She did 5 in 2020 and 5 in 2021. And I was like, those are perfect little gifts. So I started making them to give to some of my friends at work. And I want a set for myself. I made a whole set for my niece and her partner. Last year they got them for Christmas, but that was the only full set. So my friends at work, last year some of them got 2, and then this year some are just gonna get, the ones who got 2 last year getting 1, and I have 3 new friends that I've really gotten close with in the past year, so they're gonna get 2. But I still have to make like 3 of these. I'm still working on them. But so that was also part of my something old, but also when we're watching football. So we have Joy. And I made all of these into really cute little pillows with plaid and a little bit of rickrack. Love. Peace. Faith. Cheer. And home. This home, it actually doesn't look, it's funny because here's the other one. I wasn't paying attention, and so this house is wider than the other one. Oh well, no one will know except you. I also did Holy, but this one I'm going to keep for, this is going to be in my set. So someday I will actually have my set. So the set for my friends is going to be Peace, Love, Joy, Home, and then some of them are going to get Faith and some of them will get Cheer. It kind of depends on the person. So I still have to do 3 more, but they're pretty, like the Joy, Peace, and Love, I should be able to knock out some of those pretty quickly as we're watching football this weekend. Very important weekend. We keep knocking on wood at school all the time because maybe this is our year, knock on wood. There's wood right here and just jiggled you. But I am a giant Bills fan. Huge Bills fan. Giant fan would be confusing. I used to love them too. I grew up watching the Giants with my dad. And then they let Eli go. So we don't get to watch them as much here either because we're in Buffalo. So that's what we see. We see Buffalo. But the game this weekend between the Ravens and the Bills is probably going to be better than the Super Bowl. We've got Lamar and Josh, who are basically tied for MVP for the season. Both of them have just been spectacular. We're rooting for the Titans to beat the Chiefs because that would be great. So we don't have to play them again in the divisional round, hopefully, knock on wood. So, yeah, so it's almost like you almost can't watch. Like it's, oh, there's so much riding on it, but go Bills. So I will be watching football this weekend and stitching away. I am hoping to actually get them done this weekend because we have we have the 20th for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We don't have Brooke and Vince this week, so I can bring out the sewing machine and leave it on the dining room table for a couple of days. Sorry, it's like the Flosstube itchy face. I also have to work on Jake and Jordan's quilt. It's still not quite done. It's getting, the top is almost done being pieced. I just have 2 more. I sew 2 of the rows to the big block, and then that's done, and then I can sew the back together, and then I can quilt it, but that has to be done in the dining room. I don't really have the room here in my city. I could piece stuff here. My sewing machine's right over there, but I don't have the room for like when you have a whole giant quilt, you need a big space to be working. So I hope to have the little pillows done so I can just set up an assembly line and keep sewing them, and then I can stuff them and sew them together while the Bills, hopefully, knock on wood, beat the Ravens. Knocking on wood. Very important. Okay. So next, actually, before I move on, I almost forgot. So I have put myself in a no buy January mandate because you saw the picture last video of my TBR shelf, my bookshelf that has 84 books on it. Don't need to buy books. I work at a library, for goodness sake. I don't need to buy any books. Going to be good. I also really do not need to buy any cross-stitching stuff because I may have gone a little overboard in November and December. So I'm trying to be really good. So I was thinking about, you know, if I finish the Hyggie holiday, what am I going to do to frame it? So, because I'm not going out and buying any framing, I picked up in Michael's, and I haven't even looked to see. Oh, I think it will work. This, oh, there we go. This was at Michael's. And I got it, if you can see it here, I'll lean back. I got it in their specialty frame section. It was $5. And how cool will it look to have it go this way on it? Won't that be cool? I think I probably will do some sort of blue trim just to set it off a little bit, because otherwise the white will just kind of blend in. But I'm definitely going to do a magnet washer kind of thing on here, because this could be used for so many things. I'm hoping that when you see it, it's not flipped. It's flipped right now. Like, what the heck is with that? I'm reading it backwards. Not a fan. So that was at Michael's. And then I also picked this up at Michael's for another, this was $2.50. How cool is that to be able to put a stitching in there? That is going to be very cool too. So that's my plan for the Hyggie holiday, is to frame it on that piece. All right, so week 2 was something new. And so I didn't go buy anything new because I'm being good, but I did start 2 new pieces. So the first one is the freebie, the Friday free pattern from Primrose Cottage, or free pattern Friday, or whatever they call it. So the one that came out this month was Winter Wonderland. Super cute. However, it's kind of deceptive because I thought this pillow was going to be much, much smaller. It's actually pretty big, and I stitched it on 28 as they did. It's a bigger pillow than I expected. So being that I'm trying to be good, I did not use the called for fabric or any of the called for thread or floss, really. I used pewter, and I used, oops, white, which I just dropped on the floor. They used 3865 for the white. And then I went to see, what do I have in my stash? I have a drawer of like remnants of classic Colorworks or skeins that I bought, and I can't remember what it goes to. I got to be better about that this year and like write it down. Order a bunch of skeins, or buy a bunch of skeins, put it in a baggie, and put a label on it. So this is Deep Blue Sea. I really don't remember whether, I think that was in the remnant drawer, because it doesn't look like a full skein, but I may have stolen it from a bag for something else. And then I had a little teeny bit of balsam fir left from a project, and I had a little bit of blackbird. So those. And then I didn't have any dark blue in that drawer, but I had some dark blue left in the July month to month. And there wasn't enough. I need to buy another skein anyway. I have the barn done, but I don't have enough to do the truck and the flowers that go in that one. So I was like, I'm gonna have to buy a new one anyway. So, and if they're not perfectly matched, it's okay, because it's different motifs. They're not gonna be right up next to each other to be fine. So I used the blue corn. And that's all I have left of it. There's a little bit more before I started, but those are the colors that I used with the white that I've dropped on the floor. And so this is how it turned out. Do not iron anything. I like what Chris the camping stitcher said, you know, you don't want to iron it too many times and have all that stitching, you know, iron it right before you're going to FFO it. I like that way of thinking. So here's my Winter Wonderland. See, it is like a lot bigger than it looks in the picture, doesn't it? So I do really like how this turned out. I think what I'm going to wind up doing is just putting a square here and just making a long pillow. I'm not going to make it like the big rectangle that they did, but I think just one square and make it kind of like a long pillow. But that turned out really cute. So that only took me like 3 nights to do. It's not a big stitch. It was really fun. enjoyed it. And I like using up the stuff I have. Like, I like using, you know, why have this stuff just sit in a drawer and go to waste when you can use it? So that was really enjoyable. Then I started, sorry, you keep seeing the side of my head, but I need to have a table in front of me, and there isn't really a spot to do that in here. So my next start for something new is Welcome Home Winter from Stitching with the Housewives. I've done the fall one, and I have a really great finishing piece for it, and I'm going to switch all of them out. I still have to buy the summer one, but I have the spring one. I think I actually won this one. I think that's true. Yeah, I won one. It's always so much fun when they call your name, isn't it? So the Welcome Home Winter, which I think is really just delightful. So when I pulled all the threads for it, I was looking at it. I was like, oh, I have that sparkly thread. This is winter. I could use the sparkly thread. I did like 10 stitches in the sparkly thread, and I was like, nope, not doing that. It's kind of like the Krennic stuff, but it's from Artiste, which is the brand at Hobby Lobby, and it's very stiff. It's hard to thread your needle with that stuff. It frays terribly. But all Krennic does, or Krennic-like stuff. And you can't, at least I wasn't able to hold the fabric in hand because I'm doing it on Ada, so I can hold that in hand. And you can't do the sewing stitch because it's so stiff. You can't like maneuver around the threads for it to leave enough pliability for your needle to go through nice and evenly. So I did like 10 stitches, like, nope, pulling that out. And then I thought about maybe using the Etoile, which is DMC's, one of their sparkly flosses that is kind of fluffy. I'm using it for the Halloween Is on the black, and I've used some of the other colors in some of the other Halloween ones, and it's wonderful to work with. But the color is kind of like a silver sparkle, and I was like, nope, I'm just going to go straight with the white. It'll be fine. It'll be fine that way. So I'm sort of doing the called for. I am not doing the bamboo because I don't see the difference in bamboo in variegation, and it's $2.60 a skein versus 69 cents when you need 3 of them to do something this big. So I'm just going with the 38.65, and it will be fine. I do have Finley Gold, which is the yellow that they called for. I don't have a ton of it though. I think I have enough to do the windows in the house, but I think I'm going to do the bird's beaks in honeycomb. I think that's a little bit better for the bird beak color. And then I do have the ribbon red for the cardinals. And I do have steamed broccoli. I actually have 2 skeins at like what's left of steamed broccoli. So that'll be fine for the trees and the greenery. And then I do not have, they called for pumpkin harvest, but it's like 7 stitches for the nose of the snowman. So I'm just doing that in orange and embers. And they called for wagon wheel. I did have a little bit of wagon wheel, but not nearly enough to do the whole thing. So I looked through my stash to see what I had. And I happened to have a Gentle Arts maple syrup. And that was very close to the wagon wheel. So I'm just going to use that rather than trying to like use up the wagon wheel I have and then, you know, maybe for the house and then do the trees and something else. I was like, nope, just going to do it all in wagon wheel. And then the last thing is they called for Tropical Paradise, but I'm doing Really Tealy. I love Really Tealy. It's kind of funny because this one is slightly not as bright as some of the other Really Tealys I have, which will go lovely with the winter one. But I used a really bright blue gingham check for the fall one, and I figured I'll just use that same one for all 4 of them and just use Really Tealy instead of Tropical Paradise because I just think I love how that color pops, especially on the black. It looks great on the black. So this is what I have so far. Oh, I really do need one. So I'm doing it on Ada. I did the first one on Ada, and it's, you know, I'm trying not to be an Ada snob anymore because Ada sometimes is really easy to work on. I can take this to school with me if I feel like it. I have a cross-stitching club at school, and I sometimes, like last year, I took in a project and just left it there because it was like after Valentine's Day. It was a Valentine's Day project. This one I could take in with me because when I'm starting to teach the kids, I want to teach them on Ada, not on a linen. But I may actually take the Pinker and Pumpkin ornaments and just leave those there, because if I can get a couple of them done between now and May when the club is over, I'm not trying to do them next December, and maybe I'll actually give the presents out before Christmas. I may also take in the Santa Claus that I'm going to finish this year. It's going to get done. So, but this is, I worked on this last night, and then I'm going to work on it tonight. And then it'll be week 3. So for week 3 is something festive, and I'm going to not do Christmas this time around, because I want to work in these 2 winter pieces. So I'm going to go back to the Hyggie holiday, and I'm going to work on the Welcome Home Winter. And then the last week is something boo. So I was thinking about it in the car, and I was like, what am I going to do for something boo? And I decided I'm going to start with because I have so many. I started like 7 different things in October because I just wanted to start everything. And there's still more that I would still like to do. It's just one of my favorite times of year. And I think it must be a designer's favorite time because there's so much good stuff out there to choose from. So I'm going to work on Primrose Cottage's Halloween Quaker and the Salem Sisters Stitchery. So hold on one second. I'm going to grab those. All right. I wasn't sure how far away they were. So I worked on these in October. I actually finished the alphabet, which I thought this fabric was 32. It is not. It is 28. So there's like very little room left. So this is going to wind up probably being a pillow because I can get it close enough to that it will be okay, because there's not a lot of space there. But I absolutely adore this sweet potato color. It is so cool. So I also have sorry, didn't mean to rock you there. I have the Quaker. And this is on 32, or sorry, it's 28. Natural linen from Zweigart. I found it in a stitchy bag, and I was like, oh, this stuff is awesome. I want like a yard of it. It's so good. Sorry, there's like needles in here that were threatening to fall out. So this is how much I have done on the Quaker. And then I also started I'm going to start everything, the Salem Sisters Stitchery. Of course, it just fell on the floor. And stay there. Stay there. I need another pair of hands. So here's how much I have done on that one. And I just love this sweet potato. I went back and bought more of it so I can use it. There's another cool pattern. I think it's from Tiny Modernist. It's her set that has like 3 in a row. And I want to use a sweet potato for that one too. So that's what I'm going to do for something boo when the 4th week comes around. And then those last couple days of January, I may see if I'm really close to finishing one of these pieces, whether it's one of the winter ones or one of the Halloween ones. I may work on finishing, or I may pull out the Valentine's Day. I have a couple of Valentine's Day whips. One's really old. I have the Waxing Moon Valentine's Day trio of houses, and that's probably one of my oldest whips because it's actually the first thing I ever bought from Etsy, and that was a while ago. At least 4 years ago, maybe 5. So that's, I would like to get that finished. And I love Waxing Moon's houses. They're so gorgeous. And I also have the Loads of Love truck from Primrose. So I may get started on one of those. Who knows what other awesome Valentine's Day things are going to pop up that I might want to start in week 2. And I'm sure I bought something last year that, I know I have the Valentine's Quaker from Primrose. I have their little house from Primrose, the little Valentine's Day house. I have I Love You a Lot, or I think it's like I Love You a Lot. It's coffee and love or whatever from Chelsea and Priscilla. So I'm sure I have plenty of Valentine's Day to choose from to get for February. So that's it for the stitchy stuff. Like I said, I am going to work on Jake and Jordan's quilt this week, which is a giant Halloween quilt. I'll show that to you next time, or I'll make a video. Like if I actually finish it, I'll make a video of me working on it, because it's kind of hard to show you the quilt in this space. There's not a lot of room. I do have some things I've been reading. When I did my 12 days of Christmas vacation, I had a lot of people who liked the book segment, so I'm going to do that. Oh, my chai. Getting a little cold, but it's still good. All right, so, I don't have haul, because I've been good. I have not been purchasing any stitchy stuff. But I do have some stitchy goodness, because I won one of the days in every day in February. Now I got that on my brain. In December, Alicia, the Fanciful Flamingo, did questions every day on her Facebook page for giveaways for Advent. And I won one of the days. I was so excited. So, when you get a pink bag in the mail, it's always a good day. Whether it's an Annabella's or it's an Alicia, but it's always good. So she sent me Always and Always from The Proper Stitcher. And I just love Annie's stuff. I haven't done any of it yet. I have plans. I have quite a few, but this is just gorgeous. And it kind of reminds me of a thing from my mom, because she was such a, she had a green hand, not just a green thumb. Then, it came also with these adorable pins. Now, I plan on doing Strength and Dignity as well, and I think I might use these in that pillow. Because I was going to make that into a pillow, because I'm going to stitch the front, but then I'm going to stitch the back too and include names of women in my family, like my grandmothers, my mom, include, Brooke's name on there, my aunt, but I might also include a couple other, women who've been really important to me throughout my lifetime and very influential. So, so I want to do that in a pillow so you can see the back. But I think that those will be very cool. There's a tiny little bird and a little flower. It's very, very pretty. Those are actually from Jersey Girl, and they're the Fanciful pins. And then she also sent some floss drops with their cute little flamingo on them. And the back of the floss drops are great. It's got a space to put brand and the name and number. So thank you, Alicia, so much for that. Always fun to get something in the mail. Love it. So that was my stitchy goodness, stitchy or happy mail. But I have been reading. So I have 3 books that I'm reading right now. I actually finished only one so far this year. It was called, hold on, sorry. I don't mean to bump you. Bump you out of the way. I read The Christmas Book Hunt by Jenny Colgan. And that, hold on while I pull it up real quick. That was on my Kindle. It wasn't very long. She called it a novella. It was only 120 pages, but it was cute. Let me see how I can find it for you. Hold on. Because I must have already returned it. Kindle Unlimited is awesome. For those of us who have instant gratification issues. It's ooh, let me get the next one. So there's the cover of that one. Very cute. Main character's favorite aunt was very ill and asked her to track down her favorite childhood book. And so she has an adventure as she's doing that. So I did finish that. That was my first book that I finished this year. Then, also on my Kindle, I am now reading Secrets and Snowflakes. This is the 3rd book in the Weary Dragon series by S. Usher Evans. It's not Kindle Unlimited. It is, you have to pay for it. But, so I bought this before December was over. And there's usually only $3.99, I think. They're not terribly expensive. The main character, it's in a fantasy world where magic is exist, but the queen doesn't like it. So a lot of people have to kind of like suppress it or hide any magical tendencies that they have. Like the butcher, who has incredible strength and can carry like a whole cow on her shoulder. So the main character's name is Bev. She showed up in the town not knowing who she was. She couldn't remember anything about her life. And so she was the beverage wench at the inn, and that's how she got the name Bev. So she winds up solving little mysteries as weird things happen in town. This is the third one. I think there's like 10 of them, but they're quite enjoyable. So I'm reading that on my Kindle because I have to read on my Kindle so I can get the challenges every day, because there's a Kindle challenge thing, and I'm a dork and I really like getting like, ooh, you reached an achievement. I know, it's pathetic, but all right. So from my giant stack of books that I got for Christmas, this is the first one that I picked up, Where the Library Hides. Now, this is the second book in a series. The first one is called What the River Knows. I think they're technically young adult because the main character is like 18 or 19 in the story, which is actually one of the criteria in how things are placed, whether it's adult or young adult, is the age of the main character. And fiction too, like juvenile fiction. If it's a 10-year-old, it's going to go in fiction versus in juvenile fiction versus young adult. So the first one, the main character, Inez, her parents died in Egypt. They're Egyptologists and have been on many digs. She doesn't get to spend very much time with them. She lives in Argentina with her aunt, and decides that when her parents die, she decides she's going to go find out, because she didn't have very many answers. There weren't a lot of answers given to her. So she kind of runs away to Egypt and goes on the dig to try to find out what happened to her parents. Lots of good twists and turns ensue. And this is the second one, Where the Library Hides. I'm only about halfway through it, but I am enjoying it. I really like the characters. I think there may be a third one. So magic a little bit involved in that as well. Cleopatra's Tomb is a part of it, so quite enjoyable. And then for school, I'm reading Sally's Lament. This is one that I brought home and sat in the house for a while. But now that I have to start deciding what books are going to be in our contest, I really need to get reading. So this is from the Twisted Tales series. These are great, where they take famous fairy tales or famous Disney versions of the fairy tales and then ask the question, like, what if? So this is what if Sally discovered Christmas Town instead of Jack Skellington. Most of the titles have something to do with a song from the movie. So Sally's Lament is what she sings when she's trying to figure out like her place in the world. They also had other ones, like one of my favorites is the Tangled one, and it's What Once Was Mine. And in that one, her hair is not gold, it's silver, because they gave her her mother the wrong flower. And she doesn't heal people when she sings, or screams. People actually have dropped dead. So totally different version of the story, but they're quite good. And I like them too, because I can let my 5th graders read them as young adult, knowing that they're okay. Like, I'm not going to have an issue with a 5th grader reading these, but they're quite good. I'm about halfway through, a little less than halfway through this one as well. Sally has discovered Christmas Town, which doesn't seem to be all as merry as you might think. There's something going on under that. So, but she just told Jack about it. And so now what is Jack going to do when he goes to Christmas Town? I don't know. But these are quite good too. So those are the 3 things that I'm reading right now. I'll put all the information in my notes. Sorry, I just wobbled you again. And then, you can see about those as well. And I'll put the information for the first book, for the one that's in a series. I'll put that down too. So thank you so much for sticking with me. I didn't think it was going to be almost an hour. I didn't think I had that much to talk about. But, that's me. Anna Green Gables in the flesh, right? So I am thankful that you're here, and hopefully you are enjoying stitching along with the Little Something Sal. If you haven't joined the Facebook group yet, go ahead and do that, so you may win prizes there. If you haven't liked and subscribed already, do that here, and there may be some prizes coming up on my Flosstube as well. I hope that you are warm and have good hot tea or hot cocoa to sip while you're stitching, good books to listen to while you're stitching or read, and that you are safe and sound. So until next time, hopefully in 2 weeks, Happy stitching. See ya.